I got my first camera at the age of 8, and today I'm a filmmaker. Thanks to my love for images, I have traveled in more than 80 countries, and I had the chance to meet a lot of people and to work with local people. Thanks to my love for images, I have become the official filmmaker of the French presidency. Thanks to that, I've been in a lot of presidential palaces, such as the White House in Washington, the Kremlin in Moscow, or the People Palace in Beijing. But I've also found myself in a refugee camp in Iraq or inside the United Nations in New York City. But before that, my love for images also brought me to unexpected situations, like filming hippos, walrus, or polar bears from only a few meters away. But the most important thing that brought my love for images is that I met extraordinary people, and I've learned a lot from those people. If I just tell one example, I want to talk about my queen. She's a Vietnamese woman, and she carries out a lot of projects for disabled children, despite the fact that she has no hands, no feet, because of dioxin. Thanks to all those great experiences, I wanted to share my love for images with others, and it started a long time ago. In this room, people above 30 should remember that when we were children, there was no internet. So when I was a child, I had no social network, yet I had pen friends in 8 different countries. The first one was a young Moroccan, Oda Larsen. I met him during a trip with my parents. We were in Morocco, in this desert oasis, and then we arrived. I was 12. A boy came to me with a piece of paper. He had written on it his name and address, and he gave me the paper, asking me to write to him. So I wrote to him, and then he wrote me back, and then started a correspondence between us. For years, we exchanged letters and photographs, and each time I got a letter from him, it was like a rare gift. I took the envelope, and I looked at each corner of the envelope, at the stamp, and then, I opened it carefully, and I read the letter in the smallest details. I imagined my pen friend with his family, his parents, and I really loved it. So from 12 to 14, I had 2 more pen friends. And then, at 14, I had 4 more pen friends. And when I was 15, I had pen friends in 8 different countries. 1 Moroccan, 1 Polish, 1 German, 1 Slovenian, 1 Slovakian, 1 Japanese, 1 Brazilian, and even 1 in France. So all those exchanges brought me a lot. I learned a lot about different cultures, but I learned something fundamental: tolerance. By simply looking at each other's, we allowed to understand our differences and to understand what respect meant. And the time given by the old-fashioned correspondence is for me a key for altruism. By just taking the time to receive this envelope, to write the questions, to wait for the answers, it was a way to take an interest in the other. And taking an interest in the other takes time. I never found my Moroccan pen friend Oda Larsen again. Rather, I recently wrote to Maiko, my Japanese pen friend, and to Alfredo, my Brazilian pen friend. Both answered. Guess how? With letters. So thanks to my job, I've been in a lot of countries and I met many children around the world. They always had the same questions. They wanted to know how kids live elsewhere, and in particular in France. But I wasn't a child anymore, and I couldn't answer them. So for years, I developed the wish to share with them what I had myself experienced, knowing how strong it had been for me. But the question was how to ensure that children who are living miles apart and who don't speak the same language could communicate with each other. And the answer was that, a cardboard frame. Since they could not communicate with words, they would use photography. And as I wanted photography to be a tool of dialogue, I introduced the cardboard frame so that they could learn how to tell a story with a picture. Ask yourselves how many pictures a day you take with your smartphone. And now, try to imagine having only a film of 12 exposures per month. Wouldn't you be more selective? This is exactly what the cardboard frame allows, to think before taking a picture. So the first experiment of the cardboard frame was in India in 2011. So you are in Kapai, a small village, South India. So each child has a notebook where he writes or draws what he wants to tell to his pen friends. Then we teach them the basis of photography, like the photo frame, the exposures, and then they go on field with their cardboard frame. They try to find the best angle of the photo they want to tell. And when they are ready, they take the photo camera and they make the picture. In doing so, the goal is to allow children to deeply think about what they mean with their picture before taking the picture. The following months, we carried out the same photo workshop in France, and children started to exchange with each other. We were expected some preconceived ideas, and here are some. I remember this girl, Gayatri. She wanted to show necklaces to the French girls because she thought they didn't have. Or this boy, Ryan, who wanted to show refreshments to the Indian kids. So I was tempted to tell them that French girls do have necklaces or that Indian kids do drink sodas. But the rule, as an adult, was not to intervene in the dialogue between kids. And that's how the slow dialogue came back. So French and Indian children continued to communicate with each other, and they are still corresponding today. They are the ones who choose the topics of the correspondence, and topics improve with time. At the beginning, they speak about food, school, or family, and then, for example, they recently exchanged about weddings or funerals in their respective countries. So seeing that the concept was working, I thought, why not duplicate it to other countries? And then, in 2012, a new photo correspondence was launched between children from France and from Cambodia. And that's how the NGO An Eye for an Eye was born. Today, more than 300 children are or have been involved in a photo correspondence. After India and Cambodia, we organize photo correspondence between France and South Africa, France and Bolivia, France and Greenland, and soon, France and China. But I will tell you what it really brings to children, why it is important that children take part to those photo dialogues. The first thing is self-confidence. Children are asked to describe their own life. By doing so, we ask them to take a step back on their lives and to have a look of their routine. And it's not easy. not only for children. So I remember this child, Hassan. He was a French boy. And at the beginning, he didn't want to take photographs of his surroundings because he was a bit ashamed. So he preferred to take photos of the consumer goods. So he took photos of expensive things that he couldn't afford. And then he walked through the street and saw a wall and said, oh, I will put my friend. And he took the photo of this wall. And then he said, actually it's nice. And I think that this experience gave more value to the way he considered his daily life. So when children are proud of where they live, they can also be proud of what they do. And this is the second point, pride. We consider children as artists. So after each photo workshop, we organize exhibitions. I remember this exhibition in Bolivia. There were a lot of people, journalists, audience. And then a little girl, Janet, came to me. She was so excited. She said, look, there is a man who I didn't know who came to me and said that my photo was beautiful. And more than that, he said that my street was beautiful. The third point is open-mindedness. When children understand that photography can be a language, they open themselves. In 2014, the group of children from France was invited by the French President François Hollande at the Élysée Palace to celebrate Christmas. Guess how excited they were. So they entered the palace with their cardboard frames, and then the president talked to one of the boys, Surbiton. Surbiton is French, but his parents are Indian. So the president asked him, you must speak several languages. And then Surbiton answered, yes, Mr. President, I speak French, I speak Tamil, and now I learned a third language, photography. So to open to the other can bring a lot, especially for children. And there are a lot of simple means to open to others. And photo dialogue is one of them. Look, photo dialogue can bring self-confidence, pride, open-mindedness, which are, for me, steps through tolerance. And you see, the keys are very simple for that. Time and a cardboard frame. Thank you.